Today we're joined by the fascinating and funny personality John Wilton, also known as Tango Pasty. John is the founder of Moto Ventura Tours, where he takes riders on incredible adventures across some of the world's most breathtaking routes. He's also the author of Groovers on the Maneuvers and other works that capture the stories, struggles, and joys of life on two wheels.
When I get people on a bike, and you know what bikers are like when they all get together, they're just talking about roads they've ridden, cafes they've found, epic stuff they've found. And it was more about finding something where I could share the love of motorcycles.
Welcome to the One Gang Worldwide podcast, your ultimate ride into the world of motorcycles. Visit cyclesworldwide.com, where we offer a completely free marketplace for everything motorcycle. Join our One Gang community where you can connect, share info, and swap stories with riders from all over the world. Join for free at cyclesworldwide.com and be a part of the One Gang community right now.
Hey, One Gang, today we've got John Wilton with us, the founder of Moto Ventura Tours, not your typical tour company. So we're excited to have you, man. We're looking forward to this episode. Thanks for joining us.
Very welcome.
What's up, John, man? Welcome to the show, buddy. Hope you're doing great out there in the UK. You got some good riding weather going on. But as we do all our shows, we kind of start from the beginning. Where'd you grow up? What kind of kid were you? And, what were some of your early interests before motorcycles clouded your mind?
Cool, blimey, yeah. All right, no worries. That's going to be a big one. Yeah, so, okay. You want me to kick off then?
Yeah. Just to kind of get into a little bit where you grew up.
All right, so I don't know how much your knowledge extends to the UK, but I'm from a little part of the southwest called Cornwall. So we kind of, it's a county, so a state, as you call it, but it kind of has its own little identity. Very much old trade, like mining, fishing, bits and pieces like that, a bit of farming going on, but it was meant a very interesting childhood, very rural, on the beaches, going out on mountain bikes. At a young age, we were basically thrown out. This is way before TVs and
of course.
iPods and all this sort of stuff. So we used to do our own stuff. We'd go out and we'd just have a push bike, which we called a mountain bike. We had straight bars on it, and we'd go out and we'd just hoon around on these things, just be a nuisance to everybody. Nice. And that was it. Mum would kick us out the door in the morning, and you wouldn't see us till it got dark again. Sometimes you'd have a rucksack with a load of food on the back, sausages and bacon. So, a Rambo knife, which you wouldn't dare go out these days with one of these, but not in the UK anyway. You have a Rambo knife in the rucksack and a box of matches. You'd be set for the day, make your own dinner. And that was it. That was growing up. Beaches and forests. And
what were some of your early passions that you kind of started getting into at a younger age?
Well, that was kind of it. I mean, we were out trying to be fairly self-sufficient. We always thought we were sort of slightly, you won't be aware of this guy, Bear Grylls. We'd go out and we'd make our own little fires and do a bit of camping and it was building dens, tree houses, climbing trees, making rope swings, all that sort of stuff, huckleberry stuff. That was it. And the further we could go on these push bikes,
of course, the more freedom.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're doing this from 8, 9, 10 years old, 11 years old. And then all of a sudden, I think around mid-80s, mountain biking started to become a big thing. Obviously, following on from what's happening in the States, we had Joe Murray with Kona, Specialized, Ned Overend, all these big names coming in, Johnny Tomac. And I started really getting into the mountain bike scene with that. And then, because of family history and bits and bobs like that, I decided to join the military. So I joined the Navy. Joined up at 16.
16.
So
you can join in the UK. 16. You can join that early.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you got to get a note from your mum. You got to have a little letter to say, I give Her Majesty permission to take my boy away. But that's basically it. And I joined the Navy even before I'd had any of the exam results from my studies at school. So, I didn't even know whether the qualifications, whether I'd been able to do a bit more in the Navy or not. I just wanted to get in and get out and see the world. So even before the exam results hit the doormat, I was off. So
That's actually what I wanted to ask you, John. Going into the Royal Navy, was it a sense, chasing an adventure, or a sense of duty, or a mix of both? And what were your key takeaways from that time?
kind of a bit of both, because I've got my brother was in the Navy. He'd done it before me. He was 7 years older than I was.
Okay.
Grandparents, Navy, Army, and Air Force, World War II. Their parents,
Right on.
World War One, and lots of the neighbours and lots of the friends I grew up with, their parents were also military. So
Wow, so family thing. Okay.
kind of a family thing. And being near the sea, I mean, I grew up on a little fishing port called Padstow, which is on the north coast of Cornwall. And that, because of the connection to the sea and all this, the Navy was the obvious one for me to go for. And I felt you saw more of the world that way.
Of course.
Yeah.
And that's where the Tony probably comes from with my name as well, because when I joined the Navy, I'm actually an Anthony John.
Oh, Anthony John. Okay.
And so I got so tired on my shirt. I've got A. Wilton written on my shirt when I was joined. They make your name up so people would shout at you properly. and I just had A. Wilton, and everyone used to say, "What's your name?" And I'd say, "John." I said, "Don't be stupid. You got A on your shirt." I said, "All right, it's Anthony." So it became Tony Wilton, and then I thought it's just too much hassle changing it to the Anthony was silent, but it was easier just to go with it. And then so did 7 years with the Royal Navy, had some fun trips, wrote a small book.
Did you really? You wrote a book about it? That's cool.
Yeah, under the name Tony Wilton. So if you were really bored, it's called Groovers on Maneuvers.
Groovers on the Movers. We'll put that in the show notes.
So it's an Amazon only special, and I had all these. We'd go down the pub and we'd have a few pints, and your mates would say, "Tell us about what happened when you were in Sri Lanka and the guards chased you," and all that. So you start telling these stories, and someone said, "You really should write these down, because they're worth keeping. Memories, your memory will fade. So write this stuff down." And I did, and it turned into a bit
how
of
old
a
were you
book.
at this point when you were writing this book?
So, I wrote it when I left the Navy in 1996. So I'd have been 23, 24 years old.
Gotcha. All right, cool.
But I didn't do anything with it then. I just left it on a hard drive somewhere, and it sat there until on a disc, a 3.5-inch disc, whatever they will.
Is that those big?
Something like that.
Is that the floppy ones or the hard ones?
The slightly small ones. The hard disc, and I had I left it there and I didn't do anything with it. And then a friend of mine wrote a book, as they do, and he said, "Oh, I self-published it," and he had loads of hits. He was doing really well. He had a slight twist to his life, which meant he sold stuff. And I thought, well, if he can do it, I can do it. So I dragged it out, blew the cobwebs off, changed some names to protect the innocent, and whacked it on the Amazon.
That's cool, man. Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. That's killer. Hey, let me ask you this. After your military service, you transitioned into law enforcement, correct?
Yeah. I left the Navy in 1996, and I applied to join my local police. Now, there's all sorts of, is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing? My family were a little bit, not so sure you should be doing this. They weren't exactly pro. But it was a uniform, it was security. Right. But the big pull for me, and you talk about security pensions and stuff like that, and a decent salary every month. But the big draw for me, believe it or not, was the fact I've got to drive these big cars about, and eventually motorcycles. And then also, as you may or may not be aware, in the UK, the police aren't routinely armed. So I went into a role in the police, which meant I was. So there's a kind of a specialist role. It was called armed response. So I got the big cars to play with, all the toys to play with. And I was able to then sidetrack as well and ride the police bikes. So I did all the police motorcycling. Which, I mean, that was a real eye opener. I ended up doing royal escort duties on that, and just having a laugh.
Hey, John, let me ask you this before we continue on with this one. this motorcycle thing, is this something that you just picked up when you went to the department, the police department, or were you riding motorcycles prior at a younger age?
No, I was riding from, my granddad was a keen motorcyclist, and he was had, old motorbikes and sidecars, because when he was growing up, the motorbike was the way of, if you had no money, if you were skint, the bike was the way of getting transport. It was cheaper than a car. And it was the way you'd see families with the sidecar on. You'd have two in the sidecar. You'd have dad on the front of the bike, mum on the back. And that was how families got about, because it was the cheap form of transport. Well, it's flipped now. It's now the expensive form of transport. It's a luxury, you know?
Yeah.
So
hey, what kind of bikes was your grandfather riding? Be interested. Was he a Triumph, BSA? What was he doing? Do you remember?
Do you know what? I don't remember. I don't remember. By the time I got, he was an old granddad. So by the time that he and I, I was introduced to the world and he was knocking about, he was already well beyond bikes at that stage. So, and I didn't have the knowledge to sort of pick him up on it and ask him about it. It was either boxing or motorcycles. That was his thing.
Oh, he sounds like a good dude, man. It'd be like a fun for a young kid to be around.
He was a regimental sergeant major in the army in World War II. He was in India for World War II, and he was a lovely bloke. He was an absolute star. But I wasn't old enough to be able to grill him on the bikes. I just knew it was bikes. Right. So when I left the Navy, because joining at 16. You're away, you're serving, doing bits and pieces, you're sailing the world, you're getting drunk in every port, all the stereotypes. But what I don't have is time at home. So I had to, when I got home and I left, that's when I managed to start chasing the motorcycle dream. So that's when I did my test. That's when I got in with a few mates who were riding bikes. And then did you end up buying one after you got your test and did all that stuff? I did. I borrowed.
Okay.
I borrowed a bike. I sat on the license for a bit, so I borrowed a little Suzuki TS125 to do my test on. The way you get a bike test in the UK is you've got to jump through so many hoops, and it's crazy. And so I had some good mates around me. It was almost like a little club. Everyone rode bikes. We all crashed out in one house, and they all went out on the big bikes, and I was just screaming the engine off this, wringing its neck, trying to keep up with everybody on this 125.
That's crazy.
Did my license, and then I sat on the license until I joined the police, and it was about a year into the police I eventually managed to get a bike. So what would I have been, 20, 25, 26, something like that.
Gotcha.
Late starter.
Well, what kind of bikes were the police running in those days in the UK? What kind of bikes were you guys riding?
Well, the police had predominantly been going for the BMWs, so the K series Beamers, R series Beamers with the boxer engines. A lot of Pan-Europeans knocking about, and it was very rigid, because the police in the UK is made up of individual forces. States will have their own individual police force, but they all still have to comply nationally with a lot of things. So they're given some leverage on, or some allowance on what they can buy, but it's got to be this or this or this. You can't go too far outside of the box if you want to buy kit for your force. So they were given a couple of motorbikes to pick from, and it was do your best with that, So Beamers, I'd say it was almost 100%, 90% Beamers knocking about, Right. I think the early days, there were a few Nortons and stuff like that, and Triumphs and stuff in the really early days. But that's when you were wearing a cork helmet, that sort of time.
What's up, One Gang? I used to think that if I spent big money on riding gear with a logo on the back, I was getting top quality. I gave Leather Up a shot. I wasn't sure at first, could I really get quality gear without spending a fortune? But after putting tens of thousands of miles on their jackets and vests, I had my answer. No busted zippers, no loose stitching, just solid, well-made gear that lasts. Leather Up carries trusted brands like Milwaukee Leather, Hot Leathers, and more, with gear for every rider and every budget. Plus, their customer service actually cares and picks up the phone, something rare these days. So do yourself a favor, check out leatherup.com. Whether you need jackets, vests, chaps, boots, helmets, or luggage, they've got you covered. And because you're part of the One Gang Worldwide family, use code CW20 at checkout for 20% off your entire order. Stop overpaying, gear up with Leather Up, and see the difference yourself.
Yeah. That's funny. Hey, how long were you in the police department for?
So I did 26
Wow.
years. Yeah, and I did 7 in the Navy. I did 26 in the police, which meant that combined to mean I take my pension across from the military, and it adds to the police
Sweet.
service, which meant I got I just recently knocked it on the head and
Okay,
retired.
good for
so
you.
I am free.
Yeah, good for you.
Last.
Nice. And now you've mentioned chasing shadows on a motorcycle for decades. Can you take us into that mindset and what a day in your life felt like as you were in uniform
Well,
on 2 wheels?
Well, I mean, there's two different sides of it, because I got into biking, and I mean, really young. I was on little bikes around town where I was growing up, and you wouldn't be allowed to be on it. You under no license, just going out for a giggle, seeing what you could get away with. So when I eventually got riding legally, ironically in the police, I had a bike. I had a Suzuki Bandit 600 Bandit as my first bike, and that wasn't anything to do with the police. That was just my
Personal
own
bike,
bit
yep.
of kit, and that was my escape. So all the grief that I was getting through work, through life, anything like that, I'd have this set route which I used to ride, and I'd ride for about 2 hours up the coast road. And in fact, I rode it yesterday, and with some friends. I hadn't ridden it for about 15 years, this particular road. And I go up this road, I get to a McDonald's, and I'd sit in there and I'd get me quarter pounder. I'd have a coffee, just chill out, have some time. And then I'd ride back down the same route, because if you ride the same road in 2 different directions, it's 2
That's
different
right.
roads, so.
That's a good
And
point.
it's just, I've got the sea on my left going up, and on the way back, I got the sea on my right, and the sun's going somewhere different. And that was it. Every day, every time I had a day off, I'd do this ride just to clear my head. So they were a real go-to, lifesaver, without a shadow of a doubt. Brilliant, real place to go, and almost like a meditation.
Of
Isn't
course.
it? It's just your go-to place.
Anytime you're on 2 wheels, it's meditation.
Yeah. And from that, I think I went and bought some bigger bikes. I tried the 600. Ran out of puff a little bit around 80. It was, you'd be sort of ringing this thing, going, come on, I want a bit more from it. And mates always had bigger bikes. And I then jumped on a ZX7R sports bike, the ZX7R Ninja.
Great bike.
Had that for a while. Oh, I loved it. What a fantastic bike. But I could just see things going wrong on that.
And the speed on those things it's pretty crazy.
It was a quick bike. I mean, I'm a chunky fella anyway, so I'm sort of fairly broad. And the wrists and the back and my legs don't, I think as a byproduct of riding bicycles for so long, I've got quite thick legs as well. And they don't do well with being all squashed up on a sports bike, and then all my weight falling on my wrists.
Yeah, it's a lot, man. When you're a kid, it's one thing, but you get older, man, it's a little tougher to ride, especially distance-wise.
Yeah, and I'm thinking I'm paying the physical price for something that's going to lose me my license and my life, and I think I'm going to calm down a bit. I need to learn how to ride these things properly. So I took a step back. I got onto the traffic department at work, and then the firearms, and then an opportunity came up to jump on the police bikes, and so I threw my hat in the ring and said, "Come on, I want a bit of that." Got a course, and ended up doing all the police training and stuff like that, which was. I mean, that was brilliant. That was another level again.
Hey, listen, let me ask you a question. Around the same time, you had also started to create content, basically all the way back to 1991. That's a lot. I mean, obviously, it's a long time to document life. What inspired you to start telling stories and putting your world on camera?
I guess I had a bit of an artistic flair. My mum always said I should have gone to art college, but I never did. I just, I don't know, I just, I don't know. I think I was a bit of a, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. I think I was a bit of a, I don't know, I don't know. I think I was a bit of a, I don't know, I don't know. I think I was a bit of a, I don't know, I don't know. I think I was a bit of a, I don't know, I don't know. I think I was a bit of a, I don't know, I don't know. I think I was a bit of a, I don't know, I don't know. I think I was a bit of a, I don't know, I don't know. I think I was a bit of a, I don't know, I don't know. I think I was a bit of a, I don't know, I don't know. I think I was a bit of a, I don't know, I don't know. I think I was a bit of a, I don't know, I don't know. I think I was a bit of a, I don't know, I don't know. I think I was a bit of a, I don't know, I don't know. I think I was a bit of a, I don't know, I don't know. I think I was a bit of a, I don't know, I don't know. I think I was a bit of a, I don't know, I don't know. I think I was a bit of a, I don't know, I don't know. I I had my own issues around that. The stereotypical didn't really. I sort of I looked at art college and I thought, do I really want to be that sort of person? Walking around with a giant portfolio and okay, yeah, everybody, hi, yeah, great. I've mixed some pastel colours today, and
That's so funny.
Oh, great, well done, mate. Enjoy it. I just wanted to be, doing other stuff. So I kept the flair. I drew a few cartoons. I like drawing a bit pieces just to, escape again. But when I was in the Navy, I went to down to the Middle East for a little skirmish called Desert Storm, which was when Saddam Hussein got very unpopular in Kuwait. And we went down there. And so when the ship's away, we go away for 6-7 months at a time. And we thought me and this lad, Lester, we thought we've got to put a video together so everybody can send a message home at Christmas to show the families what we're doing. So the camera came out, and it's a big VHS one, it's on your shoulders.
Those big suckers you carry on, yeah.
That's it. Yeah, in the pocket, and you could be really candid with it. No one knows that if you're being filmed. If you just act natural, And then I did a bit of that. We did a Christmas message home, and then it just went from there. I started editing on the ship's systems, editing the videos together. And from that point on, I just thought it was hilarious. So it was, that naturally went to motorcycles. And every time I got together with my mates, we went to Wales, so we did some overnight trips. We sort of put a sleeping bag and a tent on the back of the bike, tied it on with string. And then we ride up to Wales for 2 days, which is just, a couple of hours up the road. And that was the nearest we could get to Switzerland, mini Switzerland, beautiful part of the world. And we were knocking around Wales, drinking real ale, going to campsites. And I had the camera on the front of the bike, which I called Coroner Cam. So I thought, if anything's going to go wrong, this camera is going to capture it for the coroner. And we attach it to the front of the bike, and we just make these hilarious little videos. But it was a boring fixed camera, with nothing. There was none of this looking round stuff, and the image quality was horrendous. But we started stringing films together at that point just to have a laugh. Really.
Of course,
and it was all. That was what it was about. It's just about showing everybody how great bikes are.
Right, and also remembering the fun times that you had with your buddies too. I mean, that's just say because you guys get drunk, you video record it, and then you laugh about it. 2-3 years down the road when you guys are all together looking at this stuff. So, I mean, it's just awesome memories.
It is. I mean, that's half of this. When I wrote that book back in, in the early 90s, or mid 90s, most of the stuff I've put in the book, I remembered because I videoed it, so a lot of the details are done because I've videoed it and I can remember the detail of what's happening. There's a ceremony we do called crossing the line, where the ship crosses over the equator, and you have to pay homage to King Neptune. Now, you get a few photographs of this knocking about, but no one was videoing it. So I've got a couple hours worth of this ceremony on video, and from that I could write the ceremony for the book. And so it's a great way of enhancing your memory when you forget stuff as the alcohol takes effect.
As the alcohol. That's fun.
So at what point did the persona come to life? Was there a particular moment or video that inspired that, where you really found your voice and your style and became who you are today on YouTube?
I did. There was basically, I did the tours. I started doing the tours first, and then I started running a little YouTube clip just to try and promote the tour that I was doing. No other intention other than people say, what's the tour about? Well, if you click this link, you can see what we do. And it's kind of trying a bit of marketing of the tours with that. And then as things developed, I thought they're a bit boring, really. I want to do something where we muck about, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Top Gear boys over there. With
of course.
Jeremy
Top Gear,
Clarkson,
absolutely.
James May, Rich Hammonds. And they were going out and they was doing these epic adventures where they would try and drive from Kathmandu to Sydney in Australia using, £1,000 cars they bought off eBay. And I thought,
That's a great episode.
I want to do stuff like that. That's what I want to do. I want to muck about. I want shenanigans. I want just arsing around, playing about, not just having a giggle.
Of course.
Because that's what bikes is, you know. And the tours is one thing, but the tours wasn't done to pay a mortgage. The tours were being done just to give people motorcycling, you know. So I thought, what can I do with the videos to make them a bit more fun? And it is an ongoing process. I've got lots of plans in the pipeline, but I needed some sort of catchy name which was ridiculous.
Right.
And
That's definitely it.
that's it. So we came up with, now being from Cornwall in the southwest, our national food is a pasty. So I think you have a pasty festival in Utah, because a lot of Cornishmen ended up in Utah digging mines and stuff like that sort of thing. So we have this national food, and it's called a pasty. And then we have the phonetic alphabet, which we used in the police. The traffic units, the road unit, the troopers, the state troopers, I don't know what you call highway troopers. We used to call them the traffic units, and we call them the tango unit, T for tango, T for traffic. So we have Foxtrot for firearms, T for tango, Delta for the dog units. So it was anyone that came up from Cornwall in a traffic car was the Tango Pasty units on its way, you know. So it was tango for traffic, Pasty for Cornwall. And it stuck. And someone, I think one of my, because the last 5 years of my police, I was teaching, I was doing training, and one of the student officers coming through said that Tango Pasty, that would make a cracking name for YouTube, because it's just stupid. Right. You know, it people look at it. I think I've got one bloke put a comment on one of my early clips saying I was expecting some sort of, well, I don't know what I was expecting. I think he was a little bit derogatory, but he said, and I've got some bloke on it from Agincourt, you know, Henry VIII or whatever, you know, and so I was there with me beard talking about the Triumph rocket.
Right.
And it's hopefully it makes it memorable, and there was no other reason around it than that. Make it memorable.
Hey, as long as you like it, who gives a shit?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah. That's where we look at it.
It's rolled on now. I mean, I'm getting called Tango Pasty by people.
That's cool.
Me boy wants a channel called Son of Tango Pasty, and you know, it's just catchy. It's just there's no other Tango Pasties about.
Hey, John, I mean,
saying that,
sorry,
there is there's an Argentinian restaurant on Instagram and Facebook, and he's called Tango Pasty. So and so I've got in touch with this person, and I said we need to do something. He said that they're based in America, but they're an Argentinian restaurant, Argentinian cuisine, and Tango Pasty. I thought that'll do. We need to be sponsored
together, no doubt. That's cool. Hey, listen, I mean, just getting a chance to get to know you a little bit through the show. I mean, you obviously blend a lot of stuff with humor, truth, rawness, kind of in all your videos. Was that, you were saying kind of like you wanted to make it a little bit different. You didn't want it to be just blah. You wanted to put, laughter into everything that you did, because you were talking about motorcycles and all your passion. Did that evolve over time, and in addition to, has it ever got you into trouble?
It hasn't. I mean, it was there from the start. I mean, I'm just a massive fan of humor. You know, it's because of, you know, I don't want to play the little violin and say I grew up in a broken home, but you know, my mum and dad split up when I was little. Humor was a great way of just dealing with all the crap that was going on, and especially when with the Navy, kept the humor going. I drew a magazine, did the videos. It was humor. I'm a big fan of Monty Python, and they sort of featured heavily growing up in my life, and just the complete insanity of the stuff they do. It just made no sense, but your ribs were bursting just watching these people make a fool of themselves, and so that
I'm not dead yet.
Yeah, I don't want to go on the car.
Yes, you are. No, I'm not. I think I'll go for a walk.
I'm feeling better. I feel better. And so
They're masterminds.
oh,
man.
it's just brilliant. And we used to sit down and when I had a bit of a bachelor house going, it was me and a few, me and a mate, Laurie, more than anything. And he was a cop that I knew. We had the two of us in this house, men behaving badly. You know, we had just nights out on a beer, get back at some point and just stick on Life of Brian. And then we'd just sit there and be, a few bottles of wine, just get drunk and watch it. We knew the
Right.
script,
You've seen it multiple times, but still laugh your ass out.
Yeah. And that humor just has been with me for my entire life. I can't think of living without a laugh, So you end up seeing a lot of nasty stuff in life, and especially with the military, but more so with the police and policing roads. And you see a lot of stuff that goes really wrong for people, and you when you come away from that, I think the bikes are one escape, but another escape is just being able to defuse by having a laugh about it. I'm not saying you're not laughing at their expense, but you're laughing to try and process things that you've been to and you've seen.
Sure.
And you're talking to mates that have the same experience as you, and they can laugh about it.
Share the same pains and tribulations. Yeah, man, no doubt.
Yeah.
So it's a superpower.
So they just popped into the videos. We just thought, well, let's do a bit of Monty Python. And I think it really kicked off with 2011. I took my wife, my current wife. Now I say current, that sounds awful, doesn't it? It's my one and only, because I was married earlier as well, so that didn't. Less said about that, the better. But so when I met my young lady I'm with now, we settled down, had the family, real deal, But before we did that, I was trying to explain my passion for motorcycles to her, and I said, we're going to go across Europe. We got 2 weeks. This wasn't an organised tour; it was just mates. And we're going to go to Colditz Castle, right over East Germany. And we're going to stay in there, but we're going to go up through Salzburg. And we've been, for some reason, we kind of focused on the Sound of Music, the Phil, Julie Andrews and all that. We decided, we kind of Monty Pythoned it. And we decided we were going to be Sisters of Mercy, dress as nuns.
That's funny.
And ride to Colditz Castle. And that's all. Every time we got off the bike, we put on these nuns' habits. And I'm sure
people must have been tripping.
I'm sure we were all of us. I mean, we had this big bloke, Steve. He's an enormous fella, and he had a great big moustache going on. And he's walking through he's trying to dance through a river. We're trying to recreate scenes from The Sound of Music, and all these Germans are coming out of this wood mill nearby looking at us.
That's funny.
What on earth are they doing?
That's so funny.
Cool. And that was it. We couldn't do a trip without making it stupid or having a giggle.
Yeah. Well, speaking of trips, I wanted to ask you about your 50th birthday when you strapped 50 med kits onto the Beamer and rode from Calais to Ukraine in 20 hours. That's just ridiculous and incredible. So what made you take on that mission?
Well,
and how did that ride change you?
That was something that was interesting. I mean, I mentioned a previous marriage. My first wife was from Ukraine, funny enough. And we met a long time ago, and parted amicably, no problems at all. She went her way, I went my way. We had no issues. We had no baggage together or anything like that to worry about. So it was just a fun, but an experience for both of us to learn from. Is the best way of saying it. And we're still fine. We still yap, no problem. But as a side effect of that, I had a lot of friends in Ukraine, over in the eastern part of Ukraine mainly. I mean, I had friends and in-laws from Kiev and from Kharkiv, and so knowing about the people there, and I've been over there when the Orange Revolution had kicked off, and it was Yanukovych, Yushchenko, these two pro-Europe, pro-Russian people trying to go for the government. And I was hearing all these stories back then about how there was interference from the big grizzly bear across the border trying to sway elections and stuff. And so I was always uncomfortable with the way that Ukraine was being treated by Russia. but then how they were being perceived by Europe as well was a little bit kind of, you know, they're in the Europe, but we don't talk about them too much because they're still mainly Russia. It was very much, they were sort of trapped in the middle, really, not having an identity. So I was quite fond of the country for that reason. I started learning a little bit of Russian because that was predominantly what was spoken over the east of Ukraine. And then we went our separate ways, no issues. Then a few years on, this happens with the current affairs, you know, Russia invading
Ukraine,
Ukraine and whatnot. So it was coming up to my 50th birthday. I thought I needed to do something, and I'd always wanted to ride a bike there at some point. Well, there it was. That just made sense. 50 med kits, 50 years old, but I wanted to do something a bit different, and so that first of all they had to strap onto the bike, which took some effort because that thing every time.
How'd you do that?
You put it on the side stand and it would nearly topple over on it, so it wouldn't sit on a side stand properly. And center stand, forget it. It didn't like a center stand because of the weight. It was like you may as well have a pillion on the back and try putting it on the center stand while the pillion sat on there. And I've got a mate who's a guy called Nick Sanders. Now, if you Google Nick Sanders, he's probably more well known in the UK than the US, but he rode around the world in 18 days on an R1.
In days?
You know, he's 18.
What pause? I mean, but is he in the? He's got to be in the Guinness World Book of Records, then, right?
It put him in the world records. He held the record for a short time, and then the record was broken, I think, by a couple, ironically with the same name, Sanders. But
on a Royal Enfield Bullet.
So he's currently going around the circumference of Europe on a Royal Enfield. That's what his latest thing is at the moment. But I mean, he did the early 2000s, or it might even have been late 90s. He did the R1 round the world trip, and he did it on a Triumph. I think he did it on a Triumph Daytona first of all. Then he did it on the R1. Did it faster. I think 30 odd days on the Triumph, 18 on the Yamaha.
1997.
There we go.
That is crazy.
And so he's been a good friend for a long time. And I thought, I've got to do something to sort of emulate my hero, which was Nick. I've got to do something with a bit of endurance to it. And it all kind of made sense that actually, if I rode from Calais to Ukraine, I can also demonstrate to everybody in the UK how close Ukraine is to their doorstep, you know, because I think there was still you see all this stuff going on in the news, but there was still a detachment because it seemed to be so far away. And I needed to prove that it wasn't, you know, and what better way to do it than jump on a bike and just ride there. But
man, can you put a good word in for us? Because we'd love to have him on the show.
I could call him up. I could call him later if you want.
That would be awesome, man. That would be awesome to hear that story too, man, for sure. Hey, now this is a good part I like to get into because this is kind of what our show's about outside of documenting, obviously, the history, but it's about how your small business became what it is now. And my question to you is this. Tell us about Moto Ventura Tours. First of all, let's start with how did that idea come about? And it's not your ordinary motorcycle tour company, which is kind of your slogan, as you proudly say.
Yeah.
How did that come about? Take us a little bit into the formation, the process of getting this started, why you started, how you came up with the name, so on and so on. Take the listeners through that journey and part of your life.
Yeah, so we going back to riding across Europe dressed as a nun. You know, we wanted to do. You know, I thought this is a good way to make some money. There must be not a lot of money. You know, I don't want to move down to Monaco too soon, but you know, all I want to do is top up the pension. I want a few extra beer tokens. That's it. I'm not looking to change the world or anything. So I just thought, how can I combine my life as a retired cop, you know, living going out, doing these trips on the bike, 4, 5, 6 times a year. How many trips will I need to do? I don't know. How can I combine that with making a little bit of money off the trips? And then so I looked at the organized tour stuff, and there were a couple of companies doing it. There was one chap who I think he sold his company on now, but there's a gent up in the north of England who's doing White Rose Tours. And for the life of me, I forget his name, but I was looking at what he did, and I thought there's somebody there. His background, the little bit about me on his website was, I've retired from, I think it was the Merchant Navy or something like that. And, I've done this sort of passion for motorcycling. Now I want to just share that with people. And that it was as simple as that. When I get people on a bike, and you know what bikers are like when they all get together, they're just talking about roads they've ridden, cafes they've found, epic stuff they've found. And it was more about finding something where I could share the love of motorcycles, because when I was escaping on the bike for a day just to get my head clear, that turned into an overnight trip. That then turned into a long weekend. Then one of me mates said, what a daft idea. Let's go across the channel and see what it's like in France. I bet they got roads. I bet they got garages. I bet they got petrol. So we just hopped across the channel and started doing a few tours around France. And all of a sudden, after a couple of those, thinking, wouldn't it be great if I could take people along, show them all this stuff? I'm getting paid to do what I love, and I don't mean paid a big money. It's just it's paying for my trip. I'm able to fund the costs of the trip, cover the costs, and that's all I wanted to do. That's all I needed to do at start, and then it just grew from there. Really, I was chatting to my wife Vicky. What do we do about a business? What do we do about a name? And the actual Moto Ventura, I think God knows, I want to think it came along from some sort of trying to give it a bit of an identity, a bit of history. Sounded almost a little bit Greek or Romanesque,
old
worldy. Yeah. We stepped short of ye old motorcycle touring club. But we thought, now let's be more European. Let's be more embracing our big cousins across the English Channel. And we went Moto Ventura. Moto Ventura is like an adventure. You're on motos. Yeah. And it just went from there. There was no other logic around it. I sent a rough drawing of the logo off to a mate. He sent it to this girl he know at university who was doing graphic design, and then the logo was formed. I said, chuck a bird in it because I want a little bird to signify freedom, flying. 2 people on a bike, mountains in the background, bang, there we go.
Yeah, it's perfect.
And that is really cool. That was it. And then it was a case of trying to see if I could build it into something that would support me once I'd left full-time real jobs, once I'd given up being an adult and I could go back to being a kid again.
The blessing is that you have the pension from the Navy and from the police department, which is incredible because it takes some of the pressure off to be able to build it and do it the way you want to do it without that, like, I got to be there. I got to get to it. I need money coming in, all that stuff. So.
Yeah, and because you're already to some extent sorted, the relaxation is obvious. If you're under pressure,
it's tough.
And I've done tours where I felt pressure. That comes. Everyone can see it. The people that are riding with you can tell you're under pressure, and that doesn't make a good trip. Yeah. So you've got to be enjoying it, kicking back, having fun.
Yeah, that ruined it.
Yeah.
Hey guys, the show will be back in 1 minute right after a word from our sponsor.
Hey, One Gang, tired of feeling like your butt's taking more of a beating than your bike on those long rides? Introducing Butt Buffer, the ultimate solution to saddle soreness. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. These cushions are made from medical-grade viscoelastic polymer, scientifically crafted to eliminate pressure points and keep your circulation flowing. No more numb nuts or numb butts. And here's the best part. Butt Buffer cushions are made right here in the U.S. for the last 30 years. From Harleys to Hondas, we've got a cushion to fit your ride perfectly. Plus, with styles ranging from sleek pebble polymer to luxurious sheepskin, there's a butt buffer for every rider's style. Get your butt buffer today at buttbuffer.com. That's buttbuffer.com. Your butt will thank you, and you'll ride longer and happier. We've got your butt covered.
So here's a fun question. It might take you a second to think about, but Serge and I are dying to know the answer. So some juicy behind the scenes kind of tidbits. What's one of your favorite stories about a Moto Ventura ride that didn't make it to YouTube?
I think my first big trip I planned, God, crikey, you got to do the research on the hotels. You know,
Good point.
I sort of work on a kind of an 80-20 rule or 75-25, where I've done 75% of the routes and the hotels previously. I've recce'd them, I've been there, but there's a 25% gamble. And then when you book these things up, in a lot of the time, you're booking them a year in advance, and a lot can happen in the year, like a building site goes around the hotel, trenches, everybody leaves the hotel and it's kind of derelict, that sort of thing. So we've had a really, really ropey hotel in the south of France, which I mean, my bed collapsed and everything. There were, it was, no one could lock the doors. I mean, but thankfully I've learned from that point. You know, I can guarantee that doesn't happen now. But I think that the scratching my head, one of the fun times. I mean, it's all the time. We're always having a giggle. There's no doubt about it. But we've got a couple that come with us, Chris and Jane, and they'll both kill me for mentioning their name. But Jane, we were out in a group. We were so pleased to get, or one of the members of the group was so pleased to get across Lichtenstein. He'd had this ambition to ride across Lichtenstein, which if you blink, you do it in about 30 seconds. It's really small. You know, it's an entire country which is no bigger than, I think it's about 30 miles wide or something ridiculously small like that. But with Europe being the way it is made up, you get all these border crossings to go from one country to another country. And now it's free passage around Europe. So all your border crossings are abandoned. You know, you can see where they belong, you can see where they were, but you just ride straight through them. So I accidentally rode into Switzerland, which is not like that. They still very much stop and declare your passport, you know, all this sort of stuff. And a coach had pulled over in front of me with a load of people started getting off the coach. There was no guard out and about anywhere that we could see. So thinking, hang on a minute, you know, it was one of these old worn out abandoned border crossings. So we all just tazzed on through like that. And then when Ian went through, one of these lads, he wanted to get across Liechtenstein so badly. He was punching the air. I've done it. I've done Liechtenstein. Now I'll tick that one off the list. And of course, the guard is the Swiss guard is in the toilet. He's looking out the window, all these bikes coming through. And he sees one of them, what he thinks is doing this. So he runs out, and he doesn't go for his pistol, but he's got his hand down here, showing off. You know, look what I'm packing.
He's ready.
I'm ready. I'm packing. And he jumps right in front of Jane, one of the couple, and he pulls her to a stop. And of course, we're all intercommed up. And Chris told the story that he could hear Jane stop, and he just hears her go. And you got the accent is the best bit, the Brummie accent, part of Britain. Yeah. And he goes, she says, "What are you stopping me for?" And he says, your friends right through. They punch the air. They show much disrespect to Switzerland. They don't stop. They don't show passports. She goes, "Who do you think you're talking to, young man? In a minute, my husband's going to come back and have a ride telling off for you. He's going to come back here. God. You don't speak to me like that. I'm a woman. I'm from Great Britain, you know."
Yes.
And of course, Chris turns around. He's hearing all this in his headset. You know, his wife's shouting at this policeman. So he tazzes back as quick as he can, mainly to save him from her. you know, but the next 24 hours, we're wondering if any of us are going to appear on Interpol or anything like that. But
that's so funny.
I mean, God, there would be numerous other ones other than that. I mean, Colditz Castle, you know, we we're in Colditz Castle. We're staying in Colditz Castle, and then we're walking down into the town to get something to eat in the evening. And they say in Colditz, here's the key. So you've got the key to Colditz Castle in your hand. You think, God, if my granddad could see that, you know, because it was this giant German prisoner of war camp in World War II, and
Wow.
we've got the key. You know, there's all these stories about escaping from Colditz and all these iconic
Right.
World War II stories. We got the key. We just go down, have a pint,
That you're holding.
walk up. We let ourselves in.
Amazing. That is amazing. How many bikes? So do you have a lot of people that will pair up, or do you typically have single riders? And how many bikes are usually on a tour? How many can you
We'll
fit?
take up to 20
Holy
on a
shit.
tour.
20
We-
bikes? Damn,
Yeah,
that's a big tour.
Wow.
Yeah, we've got. It's good. We got. It's busy. I've got 15 in July, so I'm more comfortable with 15. You need.
Yeah.
You've got to start really. The pressure's on. At
Do you
20.
have,
know,
you
anywhere-
lead, and then do you have a back guy? Do you have somebody who kind of works these tours with you?
Yeah, so we either rotate the back marker, so we have a tail end gunner, and they'll come along and follow along. We do a marker system, so we send out GPX files for everybody so they got the
Right.
route, but then we have a briefing on the first night to say, look, don't rely on your sat nav, because you've got waypoints on your sat nav, and if you're riding on your own, that's fine. But if the group go past a waypoint and your sat nav doesn't pick
Right.
it up, you start looking at your sat nav at the next junction, and it's telling you to turn around to collect a waypoint. It's the little errors like that creep in because we're giving a GPX file to a load of people, and everyone's sat nav interprets something slightly different. So we say, look,
Yeah.
use the human marker system, rely on the human beings, and then the tail end gunner, which is sometimes Jane, who I mentioned, who was the reason she came through last in Switzerland. She's the sweeper at the end, you know, just picking up
Right.
people.
She's your enforcer.
Yeah, she is. She really is. And we have them. We have a lot of husband wives teams go with us, either pit rider pillion. I'll tell you a good one. In this will make you chuckle. We had Billy and Patricia from Northern Ireland come with us regularly. Billy from Derry, and he's a big Irishman, you know. And he had a run in with some of your fellow countrymen once in Salzburg because there's this big Texan fella, and he said, because Billy sounds like he come out the film Snatch,
Right.
you know, the movie
Oh,
Snatch.
Snatch,
with
yeah,
Brad
yeah,
Pitt.
yeah,
Is that
yeah.
right? All right. Yeah. And this Texan fella says, "My God, Billy, are you a gypsy?" Oh, he hit the roof. He said, "Hey, you call a gypsy? Do I look like a gypsy?" You said, "Because I'm Irish, I gotta be a gypsy." And that was it. We had to drag him away. But he's a lovely bloke. Him and his wife are lovely. But Patricia, his wife, is very very religious, Catholic school teacher, and she convinced her mum that she was going on this bike trip with Billy, and the only reason that she could go on the bike trip was because they're going to Lourdes in the south of France, which is a huge pilgrimage town. You know, the Virgin
Right,
Mary
right.
was seen there having a shower or something like that. She was washing her hair. So ever since they've seen her, this town has developed into this massive pilgrimage town for Catholics. So she was very keen to go. And we stopped in there because it's just happens to be over the Pyrenees, great place, you know, somewhere to stop, loads of
Right.
hotels, a few pubs. And she's appalled. She's walking down the high street in Lourdes, and there's neon lights everywhere. You can buy liters and liters of holy water that's all been blessed. You can buy, there's big giant crosses everywhere, Jesus images and Jesus statues everywhere. She says, "John, I'm not sure what to make of this place, you know. I'm not sure at all." I said, "What's wrong with it, Patricia?" She says, "It's like Las Vegas for Jesus."
And
And they were,
when you start selling all these Jesus things, that's what I was thinking in my head. I'm like, man, that sounds pretty touristy to me.
Yeah, it was neon lights. It was
Right,
holy
right.
water and neon
Las
lights.
Vegas,
You
yeah, it makes
get your
sense,
holy
of
Oh,
water.
course.
God.
And there was just there's gallons of this stuff, and you went along, and there's priests walking down the road, and they've taken their collar, white bit out of their collar, and they're like this. Well, I'm off duty now, doesn't matter. And let's go get a pint,
Yeah.
Dougal. And they're just having, it's just, you think how, and then that just sits in with my preconceptions with Monty Python about how, and I mean, God, don't get me started on the life of Brian again, but all of a sudden I'm there thinking, this is surreal, this is madness, this is fun, and let's just keep it rolling, let's keep it fun.
John, let me ask you this, man. I love just getting a chance to get to know you, that you have a real great sense of humor. I mean, you try to make the best as far as funny moments out of everything that you do to keep it loose and relaxed. What's one win in your life you're really proud of, and one loss or regret that still teaches you something today?
What? Crikey. I'll tell you what, it's a real good one. And this is nothing to do with biking. This is when so the last 5 years in the police, I was training new police officers, and we've got our head of our police department is called the chief constable. So he's the former chief constable, very, very top bloke, always good advice, and he'd say to people, don't be a police officer, be a human being before you're a police officer, make sure that you're like that.
Right.
And I am witness to cops that are just too, I don't know if I can say this on a podcast, too pissed on what they do. They're too police. They're RoboCop. They've got everything is black or white.
No flexibility.
No humanity.
No flexibility whatsoever. And that's reminded me of another story actually. But when I went through police training years and years and years ago, I can remember my dad went and bought some VHS tapes, the Friends series, Monica and Rachel and all Chandler.
Yeah.
He bought all this for my little sister as a present. And all the VHS tapes, as they were at the time, would buy one, get one free. So you could buy half the set and you got the other half for free. And when he came back home, he realised he'd been undercharged by the store. And of course, I'm fresh out of police college, and I'm saying, Dad, you've been undercharged here. He's well, only a little bit, only a $5. I said, you need to sort that out. You've got to ring them up, because they've. I mean, I feel it's horrible thinking about it, but they'd ingrained you so much into this way of thinking as a cop. You had no
right versus wrong.
So I'm there getting really stroppy with my dad, because he's happy to say, look, I've been undercharged, but whoopee.
Right, exactly.
And
it's a win.
And I'm sort of grilling him. It's a win for him, but I'm grilling him about it. And I'm sure he would have. I mean, he's long past, and you think he would have forgotten about it, but he must have been just thinking, you little git.
Right. Who the F are you to tell me?
Yeah. You jumped up little copper that is barely out of police training, police academy, and you're telling me about right and wrong and all this sort of stuff. And
that's crazy that you still remember that, as of all the things that you've gone through in your life, that one still haunts you. That's interesting, man. Right? I mean, because it's not really necessarily such a big deal, but it's a big deal for you, which is like, wow, man. And I get it. It's those little things that you screwed up on in your life, or maybe not said, or maybe did when you shouldn't have, that still haunt you way worse than anything real stupid that you've done.
And see, I think it's because it's my family. It's my nearest. It's my dad, and I think, how could I speak to him in that way? How could I be so disrespectful and such a jumped up little shit in a uniform that, and I swear from that point on, I thought, I am never going to make that mistake of being that uniform. I am going to be a human being first, and proportionality, some amount of discretion, and that's rolled on to many things that I've done I think going back to the police world, education was so much more fruitful than enforcement.
Right.
We're not RoboCops, and but and sometimes you punish people in other ways. Like one night shift, I'm out and about in the car, and I'm in a police car. No one can. I'm on the motorway, which is the freeway or the whatever you call it there, and it's pitch black. All you've got coming up behind you are these headlights. No one can tell it's a police car behind them. But this car goes down in front of me, and I'm joining the motorway, and this thing's gone straight past me. I thought he's cooking on. He's got some speed up there. Let's have a quick check and see how fast he's going. And I got behind him, and he's doing a good speed. He's well in excess of what he should be. And I make my mind up. We're going to stop and have a word. And all of a sudden, all his brake lights go on, and he slows right down and tucks in, and he's come up behind another car, which he thinks is a police car. It's like a plain one, unmarked, covert car, because it's the typical car we use.
Covert.
So he sits behind it. My average speed that I'm recording him with just drops like a rock, because I've got to try and stop the average speed measurement device that we use, Vasca. And anyway, when I get the speed back, it's really just above really what it should be. And I thought, well, I've lost it. There's a speeder, I've lost the check. But I'm going to have a word with him anyway and just show him the video and show him with a VHS tape in the car, show him how fast he was going, how lucky he is. And I went and said, look, can you go and step in my car a minute? Go and sit in the front of my car, and I'll come back and have a word with you in a second. And while he goes, he gets in my car, and I look around and look at his tyres and stuff like that. And I go back in, and I get back in my car to have a chat with this guy. Now, at 2, 3 in the morning, when you've been on a night shift for a long time, you've eaten crap food, and you're the only person in that car, there's a lot of smells in that car that self-generated, you know what I mean? And I'm in this thing, I'm eating all the stuff I shouldn't. I'm like, every 2 minutes, I'm leaning over and letting one go. And of course, when you're sat in it, you don't smell it.
Yeah, you're desensitized.
So your nose has got a really poor memory. I go back to the car, I get in the car, and I shut the door, and I just go, oh my God. I look at this bloke who's sat next to me, this motorist, and he's going, all right. And he's trying hard not to breathe. And I said, you know why I've stopped you? He's too quick. I said, yeah. I said, don't do it again. He's like, I won't. And he's out the car and he's gone. But I think that was punishment enough. And that car stank.
That's so funny.
Do the next 10 miles
with the windows
do the next 10 miles with the window open, trying to get my own smell out.
That's awesome, man.
Oh, the poor guy. Yeah, I think that's, and I say that to the new cops that were coming through for the last 5 years, is that, for goodness sake, they're not about fighting in a car, which I just want to point out, the Brits call that trumping, doing a trump. I just want to, that's the British for fart. As a trump. And so I say to them that you're dealing with people, the cops, you're a cop, you're going to either rescue somebody, you're going to enforce law, or you're doing something, but whoever you're dealing with, they're at a bad point of their life because they've called you.
Right.
They're not calling you because they're having a great time, they're doing a barbecue and want to know if you're popping over. They're in trouble. So for goodness sake, be human first. Never forget that the person you're dealing with could be your family member.
Amen. So, John, you've seen the motorcycle industry change over decades and evolve. What, in your opinion, has changed for the better, and what do you think we've lost along the way?
I think the last couple of years has been horrendous. I think you got KTM. We lost KTM, and now they've been saved by a company now. I think it's either China or Indian company, I forget which. But the way that the little people have been squeezed out, and it's not just your independent dealers. It's even like, we've seen it big time here with Harley Davidson. We've got dealerships that dropping like flies. And I think the people that are pulling the strings, the corporate, and BMW, having spoken at length with a friend of mine who's a manager in a BMW garage, the pressure they are under to get the numbers out is immense, you know, to get these sales done. And the margins they're working to are so tight. And I think we're losing the big names, but we're definitely losing the little people, because the big companies are coming in, swallowing up all the little independent garages, branding them the way they want. And then after they can't quite cut the mustard, they're then dumping them again and moving on. So it's this giant corporate machine. I think we're losing the independence. We're losing a bit of identity. I know we've seen a lot of people hang a coat on a peg which says I'm an adventure biker. I ride cruisers. I ride sports bikes. You know, this is me. But you know, we're all bikers. We all
share the same
we
passion.
all have a love of two wheels. And you know, I don't care whether you're driving a moped down the road or you're riding your big Harley, your big Africa Twin, whatever you choose is your bit of kit. It's two wheels, and you need to look after each other a little bit.
Agreed.
So I think it's just such a shame. Big corporate changes.
That's John. That's funny that you say that, man, because Ben and I started Cycles Worldwide for that exact same reason. Is that we are building an online global platform, a free one on top of that, to help small businesses in the motorcycle industry from all over the world to be able to advertise their products, whether it's motorcycles, parts, accessories, gear, anything motorcycle related, to be able to sell it on a platform where they don't have to pay and invest heavy advertising dollars to try to compete with the 1% companies, the ones that are eating these guys up for lunch, and kind of creating an even playing field and giving the let the best man win scenario. So the consumer can save money buying the best prices possible. So we feel exactly like you feel. So it's very interesting that you said that, because that is exactly why Cycles Worldwide was born.
I mean, and it's commendable. What you're doing is really commendable, because it's getting that voice out, getting the message out that, you know, this isn't acceptable. The big corporates are only in it for money. Let's face it.
It's all pie charts, graph charts, and bar charts. The second those are done, then people's knees start getting chopped from under them, and they're losing their jobs. And as soon as the stock prices drop, you know, you got major layoffs, and people have to put food on the table. And it's a crying shame that the way the corporate world is structured.
They tie you in as well. I mean, I can't. It's kind of, there's a bit of a double-edged sword with it in some respects. I mean, a lot of the touring I was doing was predominantly on the BMW. I used a Harley last year. I'm going to use it again this year.
Which Harley are you using?
I've got a Fat Bob.
Nice. I got a Fat Bob too.
2020.
Yep. Great bike.
It's just the best bike in the world, and every time you ride it, you think you're getting chased by zombies, and you know it's a zombie apocalypse. You go, and you're like, come on. But I wanted to prove a point that you don't need a touring bike to do touring as well. So I strap a load of roll bags on the back, and that's what I've done last year's tour on. That's what I'm using this tour. I will go back to BMW. I like the brand, but what I think annoys me with big companies, and BMW is no exception, is that you're tied into them when you need to service the bike. You know, you need, if you want your warranty to stay intact, and if you want that protection, you've got to go back to them time and time again and pay their prices to get that tick in the box.
Yeah, we have,
and there's lots of independence.
I apologize to cut you off. We have this gentleman coming on, Danny Wilson. He's coming on, I think, next week to the show, and he's a very well-known builder, very strong motorcycle. Was a corporate trainer. Basically, he traveled all around the world for Harley, teaching mechanics how to do certain things and stuff like that. And I had a brief conversation with him, and basically what Harley's doing now is making it even harder for the DIY stuff. So they're doing, their bikes that they're building now are, you really need to know what the hell you're doing to get in there. The average person who used to be able to do this and do that, to tinker and do it, they're trying to make it and get away from that. So we are extremely dependent on bringing the motorcycle into the dealership.
But they're doing their own legs in the long term, because people are going to turn around and say, look, I can't afford or I can't keep
No,
going
you
to these
can't.
new bikes. I'm going to be picking up a 1972
Right.
Harley that I can work on in the shed with my spanners, you know, and people are going to turn their back on the big stuff because it gets too
Agreed.
complicated.
Agreed. Hey,
So,
listen, let me ask you this. For those who look up to you, whether for your service, your humor, your writing, or content in general, what's one message you hope they walk away with after following your journey?
just to have fun with it. I mean, you've got to. I mean, I want to say something really heavy and cerebral, you know, like makes you think, and you know, like the admiral that tells you, the Navy SEAL admiral that tells all those students in Harvard to make their bed before they get up on the YouTube. You know, is I want to tell you something epic and eye opening, but I haven't got that. It's just, for goodness sake, whatever you are doing, enjoy it. Don't hurt anyone. You know, make sure no one gets hurt. Make sure everybody has a laugh. Look after each other, but just take away fun from everything you're doing. You know, just make light of it, because there is no rerun on this stuff, is it? This is go and grab life by the short and curlies. Right. Go and, you know, it's carpe diem. You know, seriously, if an opportunity presents itself, try it. Do something. I mean, there's a bunch of phrases I use, and one of them is, you know, it's always better to regret what you do rather than what you don't do. So if you try something and it doesn't work out, then at least you've tried it, you know. And the critics are sitting there, will slate you for it, will criticize you because they ain't got the balls to try it themselves. The kahunas, they won't
armchair
do it.
quarterbacks, we call
you
them.
know. Yeah, that were a great name for them. And they'll sit there and just criticize everything you do. And I love turning that around, saying, "Well, you do it."
That's right.
You know, you don't like what I'm doing, you do it. If you don't like the way I'm doing this, over to you. And you give them the job to do, and watch them, the color drain out of their face, because anyone could be that armchair quarterback, you know. But go in there, give it your best shot. If it don't work, you know, at least you've tried. But have fun, retain humor, don't hurt anyone, have a laugh. Right. It's as simple as that. And I'll tell you one thing that motorcycling has brought as well to me, and we got on the subject of the Ukraine trip, and I never sort of went too deep into it. But there's a guy that helped me out at the start of the trip. There's an actor called Ian Kelsey. Now he's a West End actor and television soaps in the UK and all this sort of stuff. I've been doing it for years. Now I met him on the tube train, the Channel Tunnel, going underneath from Britain to France. You go under the Shuttle, which takes you under the English Channel. And we're on this train going across to France, and he's at the back of the train. And I see Ian Kelsey. That's the actor, Ian Kelsey. So we go up and we start yapping to him, get the Osmo out, start stuff it in his face, and start, let's do a bit for YouTube. And we're having a right giggle. And all of a sudden we hit it off. That's motorcycling. It levels everybody. You know, you could go and spend $1 million on a bike. Suppose Tom Cruise had one built for you. But everybody has a stable platform in motorcycles. There's no showboating up here. And everybody is just the same. You put your helmet on, you're a biker on the road, and you chat to someone. Take your helmet off, you can chat to anyone, kings or queens. It don't matter. You know, that's the beautiful thing about it.
Yeah. So what's next for John Wilton? More shenanigans, more rides, or something unexpected?
Yeah, it's always unexpected, I hope. But we are we got 3 tours next year. I've gone for 3. I got knocked off my bike a few years ago, and I've got a knackered shoulder as a result. So things aren't it's not as easy as I'd like to lug the bike about. But I'm there's that. I'm here to ride. And there's no reruns, so I'm going to keep doing it. So there's we got the 3 trips next year. I got Italian Job, which we called the Italian Jobby, coming up in July. because we're going to go over. A jobby is a slang name for a poo. So we're going to go and search for the gold nugget, that golden poo. And we've got Michael, the guys and girls going on the trip don't know it yet, but we've got Michael Caine glasses,
Nice.
flat caps. The rules of the trip are that we have a load of rules that everyone has to comply with as well, like rugby fines, or, you've heard of rugby, no doubt. And when rugby boys go on tour, rugby boys and girls go on tour, they have this fine system. If you mess up, you got to pay a fine, and it usually ends up with drinking beer. But so we have a similar fine system for the trips, and we've got all these words and phrases they've got to use. We've got quizzes about the film, and we've got to go out and put the outfits on at certain times and speak like Michael Caine. And it's like, not a lot of people know that. And
Michael
Caine, you're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off.
That's good,
all
man.
That sort of stuff. We're doing all this for the Italian jobby. Next year, and again at the end of the year, we're going to quickly. I've got a recce to do, so I'm going to pop over to Germany in September and just go to Stuttgart for the beer festival, because
Nice.
a long weekend, ride over, taste the beer, have a dry day, visit the Porsche Museum or the Mercedes Museum, and then
Killer,
ride back.
man. That sounds cool.
And it'll be a giggle. I'm hoping it'll be a laugh. But next year, I'm using that to do a slightly longer trip to the beer festival next September, and then before that, I want to do one called it's the Quest for the Holy Grail. So we're just we've got coconuts for horse hooves.
Yes.
We're gonna dress as knights of the realm, and we're gonna go across Europe visiting castles across.
That would be
the
killer,
Alps.
man.
That's awesome.
That would be a killer trip right
so
there.
That's it. That's Tango Pasty and the Quest for the Holy Grail. So we'll start off. We'll go up to Kevlar, Germany. Across straight off the Colditz, down to Salzburg, and across the Tyrol's back. And then prior to that, we've got another one about the Pink Panther. We're going to pop down to Monaco and try and solve the Pink Panther riddle. Find the diamond.
Very cool.
So it's just
cool,
fun,
man.
And that's
I've never heard anything
that's
like
the
this
tours.
before. I mean, we've had people who've done tours, who do tours for a living, stuff like that. But the way you do it it's freaking cool, man. You put a lot of humor into passion, so it's keeping everything always loose, which is so important.
That just makes it work, because people say, "Oh, I've been there." How many times? It sounds a bit snobby, but how many times have you ridden up the Stelvio Pass in Italy? Well, 5, 6, 7, 8 times, 15 times, whatever. But you'll remember the one time where you went up there dressed as a nun.
Right.
That will make it memorable for you. We had last year we were special agents. We had an Apple eye tag that we would hide on the bike, and we were being bugged by Spectre. So I would give the tag to somebody at the start of the day, and then by the end of the day, they find it, then they put it on someone else's bike and attach it to someone else's bike. By the end of the day, whoever had the tag got fined. So
that's
things
cool.
like that,
Cool.
That's so cool.
And then on top of the tours, we're just going to go out and think of stupid things to do for YouTube. So Moto Ventura does the tours. Tango Pasty is going to be the YouTube Shenanigans, and we've got a few. We've got some educational features to run.
Very cool.
As well as some completely barking mad ones. We're doing a feature on breathalyzers, I hope. So,
before or after you visit the beer festival?
Well, do you know what? That might be a perfect opportunity to do it there, actually. I was going to go to a pub that I grew up in. And I literally grew up in this pub down in Cornwall, but maybe the beer festival would be a better time to do it. And it's not about how much you can drink, because throttles and bottles don't mix.
Absolutely.
We all know that. It's about the day after, when you finish drinking the night before, you get your head down, you wake up, you have a big breakfast and a strong coffee. Everybody thinks, well, that's it. Strong coffee is an antidote to alcohol. Well, let's wake up. It isn't, unfortunately. So what I wanted to do, though, was highlight that you can buy all these kits off the internet from Amazon, and you'll pay £5 for something to be shipped over. After 2 weeks, it comes over from the Far East. You've got this little plastic box. You blow in it, ding, and it says you're safe to drive. Are we really going to bet our entire driving license or our lives or our family's lives on blowing this £5
From
box,
made
$5
in
box?
China.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. He's thing. It's, yeah, no problem. You can drive. Brilliant. In the car, off you go. Crash. So, what I wanted to do is product test a load of different breath boxes to make sure that they were all
Cool.
reading the same thing. So it's not about how you can drink and how much
Right.
you can drink or how much you cannot drink. It's about once you've been doing your drinking, taking responsibility for the result
Yeah,
that
that's
you're
great.
getting and determining when you can then drive
Yeah.
again. So
That's a great message.
we'll see if things like that. We got some mental ones as well, though. I want to, if I can, get up to Scotland. I want to ride up there in a kill.
There
Um,
we go.
Yeah.
That's a bucket
know,
list trip for me too.
big bearded-
Scotland and Ireland.
well, when you're over, let me know and
Oh,
we'll sort it
I'd
out
love
for
to,
you.
man.
We'll come along.
Heck yeah. Oh, that'd be amazing. So, John, where can people find you? Obviously, you've got Moto Ventura Tours.co.uk for your website, and you're active on YouTube. Are those the two main channels? Where else can people track
Yeah,
you
that's
down?
it. I mean, I put photos up whenever I can on Instagram under Tango Pasty. I'm putting the Moto Ventura Tours website, co.uk. It should have a link to me
all
social
that
media
stuff to
on
the
it.
show notes too,
The-
so people can get a hold of you.
There's,
And you're also on LinkedIn
there is a-
also.
that I'm on LinkedIn. I thought that seemed like a very grown up and adult
It
thing
is.
to do, very professional.
Yeah.
LinkedIn seemed to be the sensible side of it, but I can't resist just putting the occasional pop on there. LinkedIn. I tried TikTok. I didn't get on with it very well. I think I've got an account on
I
there.
think you
but
got to dance. You got to
it just
dance in a
seems like-
nun outfit in order to.
Yeah, it's that. It was usually filled up when I'm getting onto this TikTok and the wife's with me. I'm looking and all the videos that come up. I'm saying I know I don't care about algorithms. I was saying I didn't look at that. There's people showing me.
Yeah.
They got so little on. You can tell what religion
Right.
they are. That's not. I didn't look for that when I was looking for biker videos. I promise you. So. I sort of TikTok went to the side a little bit, but Instagram, YouTube is the big one. The Tango Pasty
Okay.
on the YouTube.
Well,
I think that's where I'm going to put most of the
all right,
fun.
cool.
And then follow me on Facebook. I've got a Facebook page as well, but I think I've got about 10
All right.
people following that one.
Nice.
Well, like I said, Ben will link all that stuff to the show notes so they can click on directly from the podcast. All right, buddy, man, you answered all the good questions. I mean, we got a million more, obviously, but we can't have you here for 3-4 hours.
No, that's fine.
So we're going to do the speed round next, kind of get your quirky and funny side, which is kind of hard to do considering it's been pretty quirky and funny the whole show. We got 15 questions and 2 minutes on the clock. You let me know when you're ready and we'll get it started.
Blimey, all right. Is this like a Freudian
A little
thing?
bit,
Is it?
yeah.
Where you
It's
start
Freudian,
revealing.
Freudian meets, I don't know, Einstein, I guess. All right.
All right, let's give
Let's
it a
do it.
shot. I'll
All
go
right.
for it.
Favorite piece of gear you'd never ride without?
Holy moly. Oh, my, where are they to? My specs. Juicens, DIY
Your
specs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Best bike you've ever
Keeps the crap out of me.
best bike you've ever ridden.
My R1100 RT.
Okay.
Not one of the new ones,
Old
one of the
ones,
old
yep.
ones. Beautiful bike. Stunning.
Most British thing you pack on every tour.
Tea bags.
All right. Tea bags. I gotcha.
Yeah. Good old British English tea. You can't beat it in the morning. The milk though is dodgy. When you go to Europe, you don't have the same milk.
Oh,
All
yeah.
right. Who's the better rider? Past past John or present John?
Present John,
Okay, good.
definitely. I've slowed up.
Better view, Swiss Alps or Scottish Highlands?
Oh, and that's mean. That is. I'm gonna say Scottish Highlands because you're gonna have a proper pub around each corner.
Good. That's funny. Worst snack you've ever had from a petrol station?
Something that was, now we got a meat stick in this country called pepperami, and you can't find them abroad. Yeah, I've only found them in the UK, and I got something that I thought was a pepperami, and it wasn't.
Wow.
It was like eating a piece of plastic.
Wow. That's kind of scary. I know.
Ugh.
Yeah.
All right. Royal Navy or police? Who threw the rowdiest parties?
Oh, the Navy.
I figured that. You guys,
Yeah, that instantly. Yeah.
because you're all together. That's always you're kind of shiplocked, so you do a lot more stuff. All right.
Yeah, there's a phrase. We were drinkers with a sailing problem.
That's funny. All right. You're handed the keys to any bike, any era. What are you riding first?
Vincent Black
Ooh,
Shadow.
God, that's a beautiful bike. That's a great call.
Yeah.
Dude, that's a great call.
But
If anybody hasn't seen
there's
that,
one with
Google it. You'll never see a more beautiful motorcycle.
there's one with a twin. No, I think the Bruff.
That's the Bruff.
No,
yeah.
the Vincent Black Shadow. The Bruff with the twin
yeah.
wheel. No, I'm sticking with I'm sticking with the
Yeah,
Vincent Black Shadow.
Vincent's sick, man. All right. Which YouTube comment has made you laugh out loud?
Oh my God. I think the bloke's telling me that I look like someone out of Agincourt.
Okay.
I think that was it. You know, it was. I took it as a compliment. I think that's the way it was meant. But you know, an old English archer, probably about twice the weight I should be.
All right.
I'll work on it.
All right. Good one. Let's see. Most embarrassing moment while filming.
I was being filmed, and I think the wife was getting her revenge because we'd get off the bike and she'd run around the corner to use the toilet. So I'd run around with the camera and try and catch it. Yeah, and then I went round the corner once, and I'm having a wee,
and she's chasing you.
Yeah, she's chasing me, but I'd have no idea. I'm singing to myself about birds flying. And I don't know whether I was singing the Beatles, Blackbirds, or whatever, the Blackbird by the Beatles, or something like that. But then I started farting as well, so I'm Blackbird singing in the dead of night. And she's behind me laughing her head off. So yeah, that's karma.
That is. That's funny, man. Thanks for sharing that one. What's a place that surprised you and stole your heart on a ride?
Oh, Lac de Rosland, or I probably said this wrong. Lake Rosland. It's spelled Rosseland. It's a lake between the Great St. Bernard Pass and Annecy in France, and it's a man-made lake. So they've dammed this valley to obviously to store water, but it is the most tranquil and beautiful place ever.
Nice.
It's that or Montreux in Geneva. Montreux in Switzerland. That's a stunning place, but it's very busy.
Yeah, busy. That's too bad.
Yeah.
All right. If you could have dinner with any person, dead or alive, who would it be?
Ruth. Any person, dead or alive. Oh my goodness me. You know what? I sit there for ages and say, let's have people around a dinner table. Who would we have? And I think I'd quite like Tom Hanks. I think I'd love to have a decent chat with Tom Hanks because I think I admire that bloke. So he seems so genuine.
Yeah.
But is that a boring answer?
No, that's not a boring answer. He's an incredible actor. Just his political mindset is a little bit out there.
I see it now, and I don't know that side of him in any way, shape, or form. I only know him as a Forrest Gump.
Yeah. Actor-wise, he's probably top 5 best of all time. No doubt about it.
I think I wouldn't turn down Stephen Fry at the table. Who's he's a British comedian. He's got a little bit vocal in the past. Ricky Gervais, he's funny. I just don't think I could stop laughing. And then I'll have Freddie Mercury in the corner singing.
Yeah, Freddie Mercury would be cool, man. He was a good dude. Yep. All right. Craziest thing you've ever strapped to a motorcycle besides the 50 med kits?
A child bike, I suppose. It's not totally crazy. A child's
cool.
bike. Yeah, I can't think of any. I can't think of any. It had a purpose to it. I had to go and get the bike in a hurry, and well, naturally, any excuse to get on the bike. And it was a GS. You know, you can put anything on the back of a GS.
They're like family vehicles, man. All right.
Yeah. Maybe I should say the wife.
Hey, you better be careful. She's going to be chasing you with that camera again. All right. If someone only watched one of your videos, which one sums up Tango Pasty best?
The one I really like, and it's my go-to for a giggle, would be the recent one last year where we visit the Piz Gloria in Switzerland. I can't think of the name of it because what I'm doing is I've got them numbered, but I think it's number 2 on the special agent ones. But we got the cable cars to the top of this mountain, and there's some riding in it. There's some crazy goings on with the boys and girls on the trip. That's a fun trip. Yeah, that's the one. But it's like trying to pick between kids.
Yeah. Which one's your favorite? For sure. Everyone has its own story and journey. All right, last question.
Yeah.
What's still on your bucket list that even your audience doesn't know about?
Whoa. Cool. Blimey. Well, the bucket I've got to do, it's biking. It's a boring one. I've got to do the Atlantic Highway up to Nordkap. But I have promised that I will do that with the wife on the back. That's one for me and her. So, you know, I'm in a real fortunate position where I can go out riding the bike. But the unfortunate side of that is that she's not with me. She's at home doing the house bit, you know, or working, looking after the kids, all that sort of stuff. I'm just going out on these bike trips. But I've promised her I'm not going to do Norway unless she's on the back of the bike.
Okay, awesome. Well, you did it, man. You did it, brother. Yeah, you finished the questions in time. World record here. But hey, in all sincerity, John, man, thanks so much for taking the time, brother, coming on the show, telling us your journey. I loved your story, reading about you, and kind of doing the research. Ben and I were doing the research on this and put questions together. So it's awesome to get that part, but getting a chance to meet you, man, it would be so much fun to be able to join you on a nice trip. I think we'd have a lot of laughs and a lot of fun, man.
Oh, I tell you what, you get yourselves over here. We'll make sure Scotland and Ireland are done, and I'll be there with you.
Man.
We'll
you
make
got it,
memorable.
brother. Thank you so much.
All right.
No problem.
That's on our list. Thanks, John.
All right. Be safe.
Take
all
care.
right.
Take it easy.